Hello, everybody. Welcome to tonight's Solar Consultant Network's Monday Forum. It is August 29th, and tonight I am beyond thrilled to introduce to you our featured guest tonight. So our featured guest tonight, Solar Lily, has been in solar since 2016. She's very well known in the industry as a top trainer, a top producer, and uniting a lot of women in solar. So it seemed very fitting to have her on here, as we are the Solar Consultant Network, and our aim is to help unite the solar industry. So we've asked her to come on here, share some wisdom about, what she's learned in solar, about integrity and brand building. And with that, I am going to turn the microphone over to a good friend of mine and absolutely amazing woman in the solar business, Solar Lily. The Zoom is yours.
Thank you, Melissa. It's an honor to be here. I appreciate you taking the time to have me speak to your group, and and recognizing other women in the industry that are like trying to pave the way for many, many more women. And in general, we're all new. We all started somewhere. So I appreciate you having me here. It's going to be a pretty open forum. So I guess I'll just tell my solar story and then we can kind of go from there. So I started in solar, like Melissa said, in 2016. And I just kind of wanted to touch on, never giving up, because when I first started in solar, I did quit. I was like, this is really, really hard. I don't know if I can do this. I wasn't getting the training and the support necessary. I was just kind of like, here, you go knock doors and you get leads and then you close them. And, it was a very difficult time. And so in doing that, I was like, okay, well, I'm not sure that I want to do this. I was doing real estate at this time as well, and insurance and other kind of things. And I was just like, solar's just not, it's still too new. People don't know about it. They just think it's, like some mythical thing that's coming. So I remember taking a step back and going back into real estate and doing, other things that were very like fruitful, more so than solar. And then I came across opportunities selling home improvements. So I was selling windows, roofs, insulation, anything energy efficient for the home. And then that's when I started back with solar. But it wasn't the only thing. It was actually a bunch of things. So I was like, you know what, solar, it started to make more sense. The price of it started going down. Like I started in solar so long ago, guys, that it was like per panel. So it was $2,000 for a panel. I mean, I couldn't even tell you the watts. I think they were like 250 or something. It was a very, very long time ago. And it was pretty like hard to explain to people to understand like kilowatt hours and savings, when all I knew was like, oh, you need 10 of them. It's this price, 20,000. It was, I think, $2,000 a panel. It was crazy. But all this to say that, I had a rough start in the industry, and sometimes people see like where you're at now and they're like, oh, well, they're just lucky or things. That's like, no, we just stuck with the plan. We just didn't give up. We were resilient. We were like, this is hard, but I'm going to crack this nut. And when I do, I'm going to help other people do the same thing, which is kind of what has led me down to this path of the women's organization and mentoring and just building sales teams, because I saw what was hard for me. And then I said, I want to help people with what would have helped me 6 years ago to not quit and then come back, But obviously having that foundation and understanding roofing and all the other energy efficiencies did translate well into just solar only. And so obviously I started on companies like Horizon Upgrades, which is where we sold everything. And that was really good, but I think we made 10% of whatever the total system was. So that's just how it was. You sold an amount of panels and you got 10%. And if you self-gen, you got 20%. And so that was the way that it started. And then I went on to work for companies like Momentum and Sunrun, where we were getting paid, and I'm not making this up, like $100 a watt. So I would literally sell a 10 kilowatt system, which now we could make, at least $8,000 on or so. And we would literally make $1,000. And so that's how I got started in solar. So when you're in a company and they give you leads all day and you close 15 to 20 a month, you learn to do volume. So you're, you obviously have to get good at closing and such. You develop certain skills for quickly moving through the psychology of the sale. I don't know if anyone else here started that way, but I tell my reps now, like, you're lucky you're getting to start at like 5 to 6,000 average commission. I started at like 500 to 1,000 average commission, and I had to work really hard to get those deals. So, as hard as it is for you guys, I just want to encourage you men and women out here, like, and when it gets hard, just remember your why and what it is that you want out of the industry. And if you're struggling with finding that why and you're like, oh, I could be doing this, I could be doing that, then the minute that you decide and you find your purpose and why you're doing this, sorry, guys, my glasses are foggy. When you find out why you're doing this and the purpose and the mission start to drive you, then you will act differently. And I believe that's where a lot of reps are focused on the dollar amount and not the impact. They're not focused on what could I do to contribute, or they're like in this area of like, I need help, but they don't know who to ask. And it's it could be sharky, right? A sharky industry. So I think that, like, my best advice from my experience is that you ask for help, you find the proper guidance, and then you identify who you want to build with and the purpose, why you're doing what you're doing. And that will get you through a lot of times when you're questioning maybe why is solar hard? Why do I have to do this? So that would be my biggest, like, feedback would be just find a good, reliable mentor, someone that will help you, and then learn as you go, but be open to pivoting. It's not always going to be easy, but it will be worth it. I mean, did you have any questions, Melissa, or anyone that's
I just think that
watching?
whole segment was so great, and a key thing there is the not giving up, and that I do think so many people look at us so many, and they're like, "Oh, you're successful. It's this," and think like we're born that way or something,
Yeah, totally.
It's not.
Yes, it's nobody
Especially
is
coming from
born.
since 2016, so what, obviously you said you've seen like the wages and how things have changed, but
Mhm.
what else have you seen change in the industry as far as like the different sales types of people and businesses out there?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've seen it change a lot and shift from, it used to be the boys club. So almost every company there was maybe one or two ladies and the rest were guys. And I've seen that shift to more of women being more accepted. That's the reason why I started the women's organization, just to get more women interested into getting into a male dominated industry. But we also saw a shift in prices. So the price has steadily gone down. So before, I remember, and I posted about this the other day, I remember when we would go to homeowners and they had care or any kind of a government discount, I couldn't beat their rate. I would be like, oh, you're going to break even, which is the way we're currently selling right now in certain markets like North Carolina and Texas, when they're like 12 cents a kilowatt. We're not saving a whole bunch. So think of now how in California you could say, hey, you're saving $100 a month, or like Andrew Smith just said, you're saving 300 or 400,000 over the course of 25 years. So when we started in solar, we weren't saving really necessarily. We were breaking even, or they were paying more. So that took a different skill set. Like, it literally said, I used to be able to tell, or have to tell people like, oh, I can't beat your current rate, but you'll have this fixed rate for the rest of, the 25-year loan. And then we also had times when we would have to tell people like, okay, so we would sell on what I used to call the financial T. So they wouldn't see savings year one, maybe till year 5. So we would put like, your bill today is $100, your bill with solar is $100, or maybe 120. It'd say, but your bill goes up 4% every year. We would do the math, and we literally had to paint the picture of what your bill will be like at a fixed rate, versus now where we could say day one, you're saving $100. So that changed because the cost of solar went down because of, competition. The incentive is 30% again. At that time it was 30, but also we had different things. We had the city of Riverside used to give $8,000 for going solar, and that was just a city incentive. So a lot of things have changed, but what hasn't changed is that the utility keeps going up, and solar is the way to combat that. So obviously now,
That definitely is the case. And I feel like there's a lot more traction with solar now. You know, back in 2016, when I'd ask a homeowner, have you ever thought about going solar? No one had.
Yeah.
But now I feel like that actually is really turning around, that more and more people are thinking about it. Lily, what kind of advice could you give people on branding and personally branding? You know, because I just know that I feel like solar industry is just kind of ebbs and flows with where people end up, what they go with. What kind of advice can you give on personal branding?
Yes, that's a great question. Personal branding is a big, big part of what I've been able to do in the industry. I think that the best advice is pick what makes you different and then be very good at it. So, like early on in when I decided to leave the other solar companies and go branch out on my own, I had two main goals. My first goal was to help other people make six figures in their first year in solar. That was my first goal. I said, if I'm going to be to build a team, I'm not just going to bring people and kind of have them guess how to get to where they want to get. I'm going to give them a clear path that I wish someone gave me when I started 6 years ago. And I'm going to do that by teaching them how to sell solar with integrity and build a referral based business. So that was number one. And then my second one was, hey, I identified that at other companies, I was the only female. And I said, if there was more women in solar and we were all kind of encouraging and supporting each other, we would just build a snowball effect and get more women in solar. And that's kind of how I connected with you, Melissa. Like I was like, oh, she has a team and she's a woman. And that's where we identify. You're like, yes, I found more women like my tribe. And just amplify that, give opportunity to everyone. And that really became more my passion. So the mentoring is a big part of it and teaching new reps, but so is helping people that are like underrepresented, like even minorities, people that speak Spanish. Like that's very important to me because this is an opportunity that is available for everybody if they just take it and work really hard. And I think a lot of times people are so caught up in like, what do I do here, there, that they don't worry about like, hey, you've heard the saying, if you build it, they will come. So that's what branding has done for me. I built the brand and I built at the same time, I built my Solar Lily brand and I also built Women in United by Solar. So people almost know us as synonymous, which you don't have to do. But if you brand yourself as an expert, you stop chasing every single lead and then you start attracting, and not just leads in terms of homeowners and prospects, but also your team. Like it's almost like your tribe aligns itself. They say, I identify with Melissa. I love what she's doing. I like the platform she provides. Let me go see how I can work with her. And I think if you do that, it organically gets to be, you get to work with the best people that support you and you support them because you're on the same mission and you're on this rocket ship together, which is solar. It's a vehicle to make six figures, for anybody. It doesn't matter if you just got here from another country 5 years ago, or if you were born here and you have a master's degree, you can make the same amount of money. And that's what's really attractive about this industry. And that's what I think, that if you brand yourself, you stand out. And especially if your brand is a brand of authenticity, helping homeowners. I remember I used to cringe when people would post like, I closed another sale, or like, yes, 3 sales in one day. I'm like, you guys got to stop talking about people's lives like they're sales. You got to talk about the human element. Be authentic. Say like, hey, this person had this really big problem called $500 a month. And now through solar, they're able to pay $150. And with all that extra money and tax incentive, they're able to do this for their family, or, and that's what resonates. And that's what organically draws homeowners, organizations to want to work with you, and also people to join your team. It's not always a sale, sale, sale. It's also give value. So I'm very like, I used to work for Ryan Stewman, different people in the industry doing lead gen and marketing. And that's what you would say. It's like you give value, 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 and then you ask. So I do a lot of organic lead gen through social media. And if you're always putting like solar, get this, solar, you're like, people start to tune you out because you're just that solar person. Like, oh, like she's going to talk about her 3 deals she closed. He's going to talk about all the money he made. Like, oh, I wonder how much of a ripoff it is if these guys are living these lavish lifestyles. And that's really how it comes across. And some of us don't even notice we're doing it. And if you take a step back and you say, no, I'm going to focus on the most important person in this equation, and that's the homeowner, because without a homeowner, I don't have a sale. And if I say, I can help your family situation by putting more money in your pocket because gas prices are crazy, I'm going to help you because you know what? Don't put the federal tax credit if you don't want. Use that 11,000 for your situation right now that everything's expensive, and still enjoy this low APR interest loan that is still less than what you were paying for a never-ending bill. So it's finding ways to relate the message of why solar is good to each person. And I think when you can do that authentically, then people just start reaching out like, hey, I'm so sorry, I forgot to send you my bill. Hey, I know I put it off, but it's time. I need to look at my bill. And when you teach others to do that, then you're not constantly looking to buy leads. You're not knocking doors as much. You're not cold calling. You literally organically build your target audience and you cater to them. And that's what I've been able to do through branding.
I think that is such a great point. It is painful to watch people post all over the internet these fancy cars they're buying and different things, because I just know personally, if I was just a homeowner and never been involved in solar, I'd be like, dang, how much are they making off of every sale they do with me? So I
Exactly.
really like your point there, that to talk about how much did you save? How much did you help that homeowner save? Because like you said, you're up against a big utility bill. So let's take their pain away from them and be true consultants and consult them on the process and how it can help. So I like that for branding, especially. What are your thoughts then? Do you feel people should on their social media be branding themselves personally, or should they build like their own kind of more of a business style? For example, today I have a gentleman, I was in a business development conversation, and he really felt he needed a brand, and he needed an office, and he needed a place for people to come. And I was trying to help enlighten him to the virtual world, but to some people, they still maybe just want that business entity. So what would your advice be for people to maybe steer towards a personal brand or go for a whole business identity?
Well, I think they're both valid, right? It really depends on your goals. So I could see why somebody would want structure because we are used to industries having structure. So we're used to going to the real estate office. We're used to going to the insurance office. But I think we also live in a world where COVID happened and changed the dynamics of every single business in the world, really. When we started working from home, when it became okay to just have a Zoom. I mean, I do 80% of my deals are Zooms, and that helps you be so mobile. So if you tell somebody that's like that, my advice to someone telling me that would be, hey, absolutely, we could do that. But, I've been doing this for 6 years, and I'll tell you in the last 2 years, I was able to transition from, in an office or going to people's homes to now doing this remote from my home. I mean, I had deals that I closed in Croatia, thousands and thousands of miles away. Do you see the value in having that mobility and that freedom of your location and your time? And if you're interested in that, let's get you started how you feel most comfortable. But then let's know that the possibility is there to go virtual if you ever wanted to. And I think, look, I would literally tell them, like, you cut out the overhead. You don't have to be at a desk 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. You actually get to do fun things. And then that, because I feel like that is actually what attracts a lot of people to what I do. They tell me like, hey, how do you get to travel so much and do this? And I'm like, because I could do this from anywhere. I literally was in Kabul and lost an earbud because I was in the pool closing the deal. And it's pretty cool to say, like, I just made 8 grand and I was like in a pool, right? So I tell people that we have both options, whatever one, feels right to you for you. But just so you know, this is a newer industry. Everybody's used to virtual. There's people that only sell virtually living in Costa Rica right now, and they never met the homeowners. So if that's something that interests you, then let's do that. If you feel more comfortable getting started with that, let's start with an office, whatever you want, and let's transition you to show you the other options that are available. Or maybe for you, an office is great, but you might recruit a realtor, someone that doesn't want to be in an office because they already have their office. Then I will teach you how to create that virtual space for them and like what they need to set up their cameras and everything to be virtual. And that's I think everybody finds their way of doing things. And I think as soon as they discover it's a mental thing, if you tell yourself virtual sales is hard, virtual sales is freaking hard. But if you say, well, if all these people figured it out, so can I. It's about the way you say things. It's about getting people to move based on logic and wrapped in emotion. Then you learn those word tracks, the certain things that get people to buy. And that's one of the things I did even when I was in person. I remember I would get like word tracks, I would test them, and then when they worked, I would use them over and over and over. Like one of the word tracks at the end, when they're like, oh, well, everything makes sense. Thank you for all this information. We just got to think about it, not whether you're in person or whether you're on a computer, you could do the same thing. You say like, okay, no problem, Melissa. I completely understand. Many of my homeowners have felt that they had to think about it. And this is like old school stuff, right? Feel, felt, found. And what they found is that, when they were thinking about it, the price of energy still kept going. And if 2 years elapsed in that time, if, passed, that would be even more expensive for the electricity plus the cost to go solar, right? So what I recommend, and then you would go to that. So basically being able to do that over the phone or over the computer like you would in person is a special skill because you're leaving it like they feel like they're making the decision, but you're definitely guiding it. And so I feel like where a lot of reps kind of think that it's hard for virtual is because they feel like if I'm in person, I could be like, look, and I'm like, no, you paint the picture with their proposal. You literally show, look, this is going to happen. If you didn't go solar, let's just say you thought about it and you're like, I'm not, you will have paid $150,000 after 20 years. If you've lived in this home 12 years times the average bill of this, you would have already have contributed this much to the solar payment. Now you would only have this. So it's being able to paint that picture in person, over the phone. Sometimes I have to do over the phone because they don't know how to turn on the Zoom and we still get the deal done. So I think that if people can take away the it's hard from their brain and just learn how to do Zooms and how to present and do some role playing, everybody can do solar from anywhere in the world. And that's one of the most awesome things of our industry. That's part of it.
It definitely is. It's all about living your life by design. And one of my favorite things is getting to watch you on your journey. I absolutely love those pictures from Croatia. It's just awesome to get to watch you travel, get to have your life the way that you design it while selling solar. So that's great. I do want to, before we end this Monday Forum, I want to open it up in case any of you amazing Solar Consultant Network members want to ask Solar Lily any questions or say anything or add to this conversation.
There's a question in the chat box, Melissa.
Perfect. Do you want to read it with your nice British voice?
I can do that. So this is from Jimmy. What is the best way to find a mentor without having clients that want to buy? So I think means having a mentor before he's actually engaged in the sale process.
That's a great question, Jimmy. So I would recommend, there's a lot of content online. I mean, I have had consultants that have joined, whether I was at Power or other companies, and they told me like, hey, I learned how to sell solar from you and you don't even know it. And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, I watched your video 5 times. I memorized what you say. So there's so much content, research. And you can also, like when you join a team, there usually are weekly calls that you could join or other people that are always willing to help. Like I would recommend like a group chat or something with people that, can help you. You don't always have to have, clients available, but what the easiest way is obviously to have those because you learn hands-on. But if oh, my friend is doing all these deals, this person helps them, you can always say, hey, can I join one of your Zooms? Can I watch one of them? Like not a live one, but a role play. That's what I do for our reps. I design their first system with them, whether they have experience or not, just to make sure they're sizing correctly and stuff. And not everyone that you work with is going to tell you have to bring a client. So just find those people that want to help, that if there's those Facebook groups, I don't know if you're a part of those, but all of them help everyone and they don't even work at the same company. So I would say just join a support group, or even Melissa's group here is great for that. Like you're getting to learn from someone, somewhat people like Panda, myself, people that have been around and done different parts of solar without having to bring a deal. So just stay plugged into the solar community and attend as many trainings. And Jonathan's channel is pretty good for videos as to how to sell solar. I had one of the top reps at the company was Ubaldo, who's on my team, and I mentored him very little. Actually, Andy mentored him a lot. So leaning on people that are good, because I even asked him one time, how do you know all this? And he said, oh, I would stay up after my job till like 1 or 2 in the morning. And I would literally watch everything about solar, and I just like would take notes. So become a student of your craft and find the people that want to help you, and you will get very, very far.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
Oh, you're welcome, Jimmy.
Awesome. And to that end, Jody is asking, do you have a link to a video of one of your sales presentations, Lily? And how does someone contact you?
Yeah, I can put the one with Jonathan Bernosso here. So see if I could find it. It's just one where I overcome like 15 or 20 objections in a row, which is the one that people like. And so I'll put the link there because I guess that's the one that, like, it's just the most common objections. I had a more recent one, but I don't know what happened to it. It must have got deleted from my page. So I'll just post this one. It's called Overcoming and Handling Objections. So let me lower this. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Sure.
All right, while you're going ahead and plugging that in, that'll be a great video resource for everybody. We also, this is a great time.
Okay, I added it there in the.
Oh, yay, there it is. So Jody, you can go ahead and see that, and anybody else in the chat bar is the YouTube link that Solar Lily was talking about.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
loud and clear.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I added it in the comments. That's the one where I overcome like 20 objections in a row. You're welcome.
Okay, great, Seth. We will take time for one more question or comment. Does anybody want to add to or ask Solar Lily a question?
I'm going to ask you, Lily, what keeps you going? Because I know what kept me going. I had a very strong belief in the company and the mission to stay in it. But certainly, like you, my very first sale was 70 panels and I made $250 and thought I'd done really well. Which would be so, you know, at times there's definitely challenges. What's the best way to stay engaged in the process versus the outcomes of solar?
Yeah, that's a great question because like you said, so it's a solar coaster, right? We were laughing about that. Me and Melissa were saying like, it's like dog years, right? If you've been in solar 1 year, it's like 7 years, man. Seems like an eternity because so much happens in that little time. But one of the best things that I tell my reps is like, find your why you're doing solar and the purpose. Like there has to be a bigger reason why you do things for you to really be passionate about it. And for me, it was like the women's organization, mentoring, and then setting a goal. I said to myself, like, I'm like, this is it, guys. I've done real estate insurance. I worked at Verizon for 9 years. I worked my way up. I had a restaurant. And when I came to solar and I found I found the 3 things. We help homeowners save a lot of money. We help the planet and we make a really good living and can help other people do the same. So once all your goals align and you know why you're doing it, even the days that are hard and you wake up tired, you're like, nope, I have a bigger reason and purpose. As soon as you find out your mission and why you're doing this, then everything becomes easy. Even the challenges, it's just like you laugh about it and you're kind of like, well, it's solar, the solar coaster, right? Nothing is unexpected. And the sooner you could get to that point, the more fun and fulfillment you find in it. And when you're fulfilled in a job, no matter how hard it gets, that pushes you through. Your why and your purpose and mission are what keeps you going. So that's what keeps me going all the time. I feel like if I fail and I tell people I failed, all I could do is go up from there. You know, I used to have a restaurant and I ran it all alone, and I mean, had family and stuff, but it was something that I did on my own. And I remember feeling alone and like just demotivated because I didn't have a purpose. I just did it because I thought it was fun and it was something I wanted to do. But with solar, there's so many things that could give you purpose, whether it's the planet, helping homeowners, making a lot of money, helping other people to make a lot of money. There's an actual impact to everything we do. And if you find that, you don't question why you're doing it or why you have to knock doors or make cold calls or anything like that.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was amazing. That answer just gave me like goosebumps. That was just so heartfelt and just So great. What a perfect way to
Thank you.
end this, again, such an honor to have you on here. And for those of you that are watching this recording, if you have not yet subscribed to our Solar Consultant Network YouTube channel, it is a great place to check out these recordings from these Monday forums and start to expand and become your own student and your own teacher. So thank you again, Solar Lily.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you both so much.
Right,
And if you
okay.
have any questions, follow me, ask any questions. I'm always pretty easy to access. Everyone knows.
That's great. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.